Okay guys, welcome to another episode of Python with EmmaPrime, and in this particular tutorial we are going to be talking about Python lists. So what is a list in Python? Okay, so when we say a list in Python simply means a collection of items that are ordered and changeable. Okay, so what are the keywords there? The items of a list are ordered, and at the second time they are also what? They are also changeable, meaning that you can change the items in a list. Of course, we're going to be seeing more things on lists as we proceed in this tutorial. Okay, so of course, like usual, if I want to create a Python list, what do I do? So like usual, I go to my my search bar and type idle. I type idle and then it pops up, and then remember we have something here for us to write our code. But from what I taught you in the previous tutorial, I want a situation where I will only be able to see my output on this side, so I need somewhere to be writing my code. So how do we do that? We go to here, we create file, new file, and then let me just drag it to this side. Of course, we have to save it. We have to save it so that so I click Ctrl S and it will ask me, what do I want to save it as? Okay, I want to save it as list. Let's just save it as list. Okay, then I can write down my codes on this side. Okay, so let us see what happens. So let us test and see if our code is running. So say print, I can say print prime. Let's know if it is working very well, and then click save and then run. Okay, so it's running very well. So let me delete this. Okay, let's continue. So remember, we are talking about lists. Now, how do we create lists in Python? So just like we declare variables the same way we do it here, but this time around I can say, okay, my list. So mind you, this is an underscore, so I can say my list is equal to I open this square bracket. So if you open square brackets in Python automatically knows that yes, this person wants to do something called a list. Okay, so not that, this. Okay, so I can now put all my items inside. So I can say, okay, 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, so you see that I have created my list and it contains some numbers from 1 to 6. Now, can I print this my list out on the console? Yes, of course. I can say print my list. If I say print my list, let us see what happens. So I click Ctrl S and I click run program, and I click on run program. So run, and then you see it prints my list on the console. It prints my list on the console. Okay, so that is basically how we create a list in Python. Okay, that is just that. Now, can I create a list of strings? Yes, of course. I can say my second list. My second list is equal to, I create a square bracket. I can say prime. I can say code. And I can say something like what can I say? Emma. Let's put Emma there. Okay, Emma. Let's put Emma. Okay, so now that I have created this new list, can I print it? Yes, of course I can print it. I can say print my second list. My second list. So print my second list. No, there'll be an error. So print my second list. Okay, so if I do that and I click save and I run the module, you see it prints my second list, prime code Emma. Okay, now that we know how to create a list in Python, can we have a list where we have numbers and words inside? Yes, we can also do that. Let's see if that happens. So let me clean this off and say, let me just call it x. X is equal to, let's say, Emma, comma, let's say 3, comma, let's say prime, comma, let's say 9.5. Okay, close it. Is it going to work? Let's click Ctrl S and then run the module, and then you see it prints it. Does it print it? What is happening? Okay, we did not ask it to print, so nothing shows up. So let's say prints X. Let's see what happens. Ctrl S and then I click on run module. Okay, so it prints EmmaPrime 9.5. Okay, so now that we know how to declare everything that has to do with list, the next thing we're going to talk about here is how do we actually interact with this list that we have started creating. For example, how do I index on a particular element? Meaning, like if I look at this, my first list, let's say my list, what if I want to maybe get the element 4 from this list? How do I get this element 4 from this list? Okay, now in order to get any particular element from a list, we have to use what we call indexing in Python. Indexing. Okay, so what is indexing? Indexing means simply obtaining the position of that particular element. Okay, and then when you want to find the position of an element, you need to understand that computer starts counting from 0. Okay, computer starts counting from 0. Normally we as human beings start counting from 1. So computers start counting from what? From 0. Meaning that if I look at this my list here, I can say, okay, like in a normal human understanding or explanation, I can say that this 1 is my first element, this 2 is my second element, this 3 is my third element, and so on. But to a computer or to Python, Python sees this 1 as the 0th element. This 1 here is the 0th element. This 2 here is the first element. This 3 is the second element to Python. So meaning that Python starts counting from what? 0. Now let me show you what I mean by that. Now if I want to index on this, let's say on the first element here, which is 1, I can say okay, what do? I want to print the first element 1, so I can say print. Then when I open that bracket, I will write my lists, meaning I want to reference my list. Then I open square brackets again, and then I put the index of the element I want to print. So for instance, I want to print 1. I want to print this one here. I want to print this one. So I will put in 0 here because it occupies the 0th position. Don't forget to close your bracket. And when I click enter, I click Ctrl S, it saves, and then I can run that module. Let's run it. You see, it prints 1. It prints 1. Now, why is it printing 1? Because 1 occupies the 0th word position. Okay? Now, let's see what happens if I remove 0 here and put in, let's say, I'm putting 2. Now, you might be thinking, okay, it will print out 2 for us, but let's see what it is going to print out. So I will click Ctrl S and click run module. Okay, so you see, it clicks, it prints out 3 for us. Why is it printing 3? Because in my list, this Python understands this one here as the 0th position, as the first position, and as the second position. Okay, so that is what happens. Now, what if I come to this my second list that has names? Okay, you see that the first name here, like I would say, is prime, second name is code, and third name is Emma. Now, but to Python, this prime is the 0th, this code is the first, and this Emma is the second. So how do I print code? I only want code from this list. So what do? So I come here. First of all, I need to remove my list and put my second list. And then I click, okay, now code is occupying the first position. That is when we are using Python. Okay, so I remove this and I put 1 here. Okay, no, not like that. I clean this off and I put 1. What am I even doing? Ctrl Z, 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 Z. Okay, so I just remove this I put 1 here. So let's see what is going to happen. So Control S and I click run module. See, it prints code, meaning that code is occupying the first position here. Okay. Now, so remember, how do you index on a list? Meaning, how do you get the position of a particular item inside the list? All you need to do is put its position. And remember that Python begins from where? 0. Okay, Python begins from 0. Now, I want to give you an assignment. I have already taught you how to actually index on elements in a list. I want to give you an assignment. Now, the assignment I want to give to you is I want you to create 2 lists for me. You can call it X and Y, whatever you want to call it. Create 2 lists for me, X and Y. And then I want you to add up all the elements of X and all the elements of Y, meaning the first element in X plus the first element in Y. You print it out to the console, and again you add the second element of X to the second element of Y, and so on. Okay, so make sure you do that, and in the next video I'm going to be showing you the corrections to that. Okay, but make sure you try it out first. Remember, programming is you have to try it. If you just learn or just watch me write codes, you won't be able to learn. So you have to practice on your own. So make sure you do this assignment, and I'm going to see you in the next tutorial.